another episode of the Legacy Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Evangelisti. Today, we are joined by someone who I think is a little bit special, is going to have some adversity, some challenges, some wins and some losses to share with us. I want to welcome to the show today, Marco Kozlowski. Did I say that right, Marco?
Are you perfect? Couldn't have said it better
Awesome.
myself.
Awesome, brother. We were just chatting about it before I hit record here. And you have a pretty challenging background, it looks like, but you've come from some adversity and really in the last 5 years have stepped it up and to the point where you're averaging 1,500 units and acquisitions a year. We have a lot of real estate investor folks that listen to this show, and so hopefully we can add some value to them and talk about some of those wins and some of those pitfalls along the way.
Absolutely, love to give as much value as possible. Yeah, lots of adversity. That's part of life.
Fantastic. Well, give us a little bit. Give us your elevator speech. Give us some background. Tell us how you got here.
All right. I'll give you the short story. Quick background. I'm originally from Canada. Got married at 18. 4 kids at 24. Was a concert pianist. Broke always. Come from a very moderately poor family. Money was always an evil topic. Couldn't really talk about it. Didn't have an upbringing of how to be wealthy. And when I got married, had the 4 kids, and I struggled. I hated that lifestyle, and I wanted to figure out what I could do to improve my family's life. Always struggling over cash, create a lot of friction between myself and my spouse. And I'm not sure, Joe, or anyone that's listening, if you know what the number one cause of divorce is.
Yeah, you're on it.
It's marriage. The second one is actually money.
That's great.
The second one's money. Yeah. So I was like, this is terrible. And I actually saw an infomercial after a really big spat with my spouse, and it was about buying real estate. And I was living in Montreal at the time. And this was actually a seminar that was done on the US side. It was in New York. Went over there, learned a couple things, and that got me started. And fast forward 21 years, after lots of up and downs. In fact, I lost everything in 2009 and 2008, not only through the crash. Actually, we're doing pretty well up to then. I've gotten divorced between 2003 and then got remarried and lived in Las Vegas. And my spouse and I were at the time were buying as many properties as possible, because I don't know if you were in the real estate business at that time, but you could literally put your dog's name and get a mortgage and actually pull 20% more out than the purchase. So if you're pulling out 10 to 20% more on the purchase, why buy a $200,000 property? Let's buy a $5 million property and pull out, $500,000 to $750,000. And did that over and over and over again. So we were actually pulling out a lot of cash because we knew it was going to not be forever. Stockpiled a whole lot of cash, living really well, having a great lifestyle, had hundreds of properties at that point, mostly single families. And when the crash hit, and we pretty cash flush, we're starting to buy, really cheap properties. At that time, you could buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Las Vegas with a pool for $25,000. And
wow,
that was the right time to buy. Except my spouse had a different plan. She decided to take all the cash and disappear, and left me with all the debt. And I was homeless a couple of months after. Went from homelessness to what we're doing today, which is about 1,500 units a year on average over the last 5 years. This year, we've crested over that. We're over 2,000 already, and we're only halfway through the year. There's a great opportunity right now because of what's going on. Again, I don't want to take advantage of anyone. I hate taking advantage of people. It's not in my DNA. But the reality is people do want to sell for quick cash. And if they're going to leave some equity on the table and you have access to money, then you should buy it. And they need to sell to somebody. It might as well be you if you know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So that's it.
Man, that was a mouthful. So I mean, we're going to get deeper into this, but I mean, first of all, I think after 5 years of doing podcasting, you're my first concert pianist that I've ever had on the show. So congratulations to that.
Well, thanks.
But man, you said a lot of good things there. I mean, our guests are no stranger to people who failed during the crash, right? But you had that compound with the fact that, the ex-wife took all the cash, left you with a bunch of mortgages. So, I mean, you obviously were at a lower than most people have experienced. I mean, homelessness, right? I mean, that's got to be a challenge. How did you mentally get yourself out of that and get back refocused?
Well, I was pretty suicidal. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty damn close to that. It was a really, really difficult time because as you start making a lot of money, your identity starts attaching itself to how much money you have. And it wasn't the right choice. Of course, I know that now in retrospect, but at the time it was like, we're doing $1 million a month, I'm making all sorts of cash. I can do what I want, and your ego gets in the way. And suddenly when you lose all that and your identity goes from having whatever you want to literally being homeless, bill collectors calling every 5 seconds, a person that you're married to betrays you, and you're faced with a lot of crap. I don't know if I can say the S, I don't know.
Oh, no, yeah, you can curse. You can curse
All
on
right.
the show.
I don't want to, I don't want to offend any virgin ears, but it was a lot of shit to go through, and it was extremely difficult. I'm not going to lie. And a funny story, it was actually a homeless man that turned it around in a way. I was actually on a 3-day bender, hadn't slept in 3 days, drank more than any human should ever drink. And when the homeless man asked me if I could spare any change, when I looked at him, he went, "Brr." And when a homeless man looks at you and goes, "Brr," you look like shit, right? So it was, I remember that sound, and it still gives me the creepy crawlies. And
Wow.
very little motor skills. I go into my pocket and I, pull out what I think is money. It drops on the floor. I kick it to him, and he actually kicks it back to me and says, "I think you're going to need more than I do." And whoa, that was another kind of slap in the face. Kicked it back to this guy. He kicks it back. We're playing this weird soccer game of kick the dollar bill. And I said, "You know what? Screw this. I'm out of here." So I literally stagger across, and he says, "You should try wearing red socks for a while," which that's what I heard. I don't know if that's what he said, but that's what I heard. So I go back to my place, and, I've been pawning stuff out of my house because I needed money to survive. And I basically slept on the floor, and I don't know how many days it was when I woke up, but I could still remember that, wear red socks. It was really strange, really eerie. And I tried to forget it, but it just kept creeping back. Went on to every store. And this is in 2009 when sock stores didn't exist. There you have, the color socks you have are black, white, brown, or blue. Those are your options. No red socks. Go to every store I can find. Go online. The only place that has red socks is out of Australia. Buy these socks using my mom's credit card, because my credit cards no longer worked. My mom's credit card. It was extremely embarrassing. It finally gets there, and I forgot about it. Almost forgot about that time. And when I got the package, I was just in my underwear, and I had, a grizzly beard on because I hadn't shaved in a long time. I didn't care about myself at all at that point. I was like literally I gave up hope. And I put these socks on, and this is in the morning, and obviously nothing happens. And I go about my day, and bill collectors call, and I'm literally dodging their calls. I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. And closer to the evening, one of my really good friends calls that I haven't talked to in a long time. And it was a different ringtone, so I actually picked that call up. And we start shooting the shit, what's going on. And he just had a baby, and I had 4 kids. So I give him some parental advice. I'm there for my really good friend. His name's David. And, I'm there, I'm present for him, and I'm giving him advice. I'm not thinking about my problems. I'm not deep wallowing within myself. Poor me. What am I going to do? And I basically forget about my situation. I'm just present for my friend, and I try to serve him and help him as much as I can. And 30 minutes goes by of this happening. And then he asked me what's going on with me. I break down crying. I tell him what happened. And this is a very frugal person. And he doesn't live high on the hog. He's just a regular guy, really good friend of mine. And he says, I've been saving for the last 5-6 years. I got $50,000 that I can give you everything I have minus a few bucks. Cause I just got obviously my kids are just born. I'll give you everything I have. I know you're a good guy, and I know you're going to take care of me because you've always done well. And I'm going to start crying if I'm not careful, because it touched me so much that he would literally give me everything he had. And for him to do that is a huge, huge deal. And amazing. I was like, wow, and that is, to me, that was incredible. Number one, but even more incredible is that, it taught me, first of all, I was like, wow. And second, I zoom in on my underwear and then my red socks. I'm like, holy shit. This is the first day I wear my red socks. What changed? What's the lesson here? And I wasn't arrogant. I wasn't poor me. I wasn't blaming everybody. I was just present and serving my friend, and he wanted to help me. So from that day forward, my mission was no longer all about me, is how I can help and serve other people. How can I give them value without necessarily expecting anything? Because I didn't, because that's important. What can I bring to the table? What can I serve someone with? And whatever happens, happens. And that's why I wear red socks every day, unless I'm wearing sandals, because I'm not European. Or
I was just going to say, you got to wear red socks every single day. That's amazing.
Only
Man, what a story on so many levels, right? There's business in there. There's life advice. Like, we always talk about, and I think it's overused at this, this day and age, but bring value to others. I mean, you just demonstrated what that is. Be there for somebody, listen, be present, pay attention, offer whatever you can. I think so many people, people in general, entrepreneurs, business owners, they don't think they have value to bring to people, and therefore they don't really know how to define that piece. But for you, at your absolute bottom, the worst scenario you've ever been in, you found a way to kind of bring value to someone who needs it. And I think that message is just so powerful.
And
thank you for sharing that.
And it was by accident. And again, it still chokes me up when I talk about it, sort of compartmentalized in a way where I don't really want to talk about it very much, but you asked, so I'm going to. It was a very hard time in my life. And it was the realization that the more I try to serve myself first, the less things are going to work. And from that, and then of course I'm still homeless. Yes, I got 50 grand, which didn't go very far because I had employees that were on payroll that had to be paid. And they thought, okay, I get that, your spouse took everything, but I still need to get paid. So I was able to take care of the wolves that were circling, that were the hungriest. But it reshifted my focus into the right direction where, okay, I can buy properties in Vegas at $25,000 a piece, and I can buy as many of those as I want. Okay, I don't have money, but can I get access to money? And at that time, I'm Canadian, and the Canadian dollar was worth more than the American dollar at that time. So I literally say, hey, we can buy these properties at this price. If you put in the money, I'll find the deal. We'll split it 50-50, or you can have 51%. I'll do all the work and your money's going to work well for you. And that's exactly what happened. Bought as many as I could, got partnered into those deals, was well taken care of because I'm helping other people have a high return on their cash. My credit was irrelevant because they're making a good return. And that cycled into how I can access money, because most people don't get into real estate because they think they need money or credit. And you don't, you just need access to money. And if you have the right deal, the money will always be there. And one of the reasons we buy so many properties is we create opportunity by helping sellers that are in distress, that need to sell quickly, that are open to a heavy discount in exchange for a quick sale. And we have access to money where people want a quick return, a good return, because money by itself makes no money. If you put money in a bank, it loses money because of inflation, right? And it just doesn't make any money. If money is worth less today than it is going to be than it was yesterday, it's just going down in value. So if you know how money works and someone wants a high return, it's just sitting there, just rotting, find the right opportunity, marry it to the money, and you make the spread. And we just do that over and over and over and over again.
I love it, man. No, I mean, look, you've defined our business in a nutshell, right? Is being a good steward of money, helping people create more opportunity with their money. But I think the best thing that I like about what you just said was you were absolutely down and out and you had the guts to go ask for the money, right? I've had people come to our events before where their self-limiting belief is, my past is going to dictate my future. And I can't ask people for money because I used to be a drug dealer. I used to be, I used to have a record. I used to be something that I'm not anymore. And that self-limiting belief keeps people from thinking that they're worthy of helping others with their money. But if you're a good steward and you understand the business, you understand that you're always going to be able to offer that benefit, because what makes us special is we know how to find deals, right?
Absolutely.
So, you're able. Yeah. So tell me, from that point, you bought some houses in Vegas. You started getting back on your feet. When did you get into the multi-family space and the bigger deals?
I actually had a multifamily that went up in revenue. It wasn't doing very well. And when the crash hit, interesting thing happened, because people needed affordable housing. The more people got into affordable housing as far as tenants go. And when there's a
Mm.
supply and demand issue, and like any business, I think the number is like 12 million people lost their homes between like between 8 and 12, about 12 million people, which is the entire,
Mm.
the number of households in Canada. Just to
Yeah.
if you're Canadian, that makes a bit, that's a lot of people. 12 million
Yeah.
people. So we have 12 million people that are on the hunt for a place to live. They can't afford necessarily high-end places, but they can certainly afford affordable housing. When
Mm.
there's supply and demand, 12 million new people in the marketplace, rents go up. So our rents went up, our occupancy went up, and in so doing, the value of the property went up, because as you know, in multifamily, it's based on revenues, and net revenue determines what the value is. So it was like, shit, I need to buy more of these. And, and the key is really how to get into the right deals. Excuse me. So if you understand motivators, because I had to struggle at the beginning because I didn't have access to credit-based lenders ever, because I'm Canadian, I had no social security number. I was buying properties in the US as a Canadian. I had to really figure out how to buy the right properties at the right price, so I never had to use my own money because I didn't have any. So every
Mm.
property we buy is $0 out of pocket for me because I buy it at the right price. And I've really figured out how to, and I help others figure it out. It's not just about me. I've really
Sure.
empowered the people that want to learn how to get into the right deals at the right price and not have me ask for the money. She said something that I think is very good, is you shouldn't be afraid to ask for money, but you shouldn't be necessarily the one asking for the money. It's the deal that's asking for the money. And if the deal makes sense, you'll always get the money. It's not about you. If you're a drug dealer, if you're a felon, you're still in jail. It doesn't matter. If the deal makes sense, people will buy into it. It doesn't matter about you because you're not necessarily the one that is asking for the money. It's the deal. And if the deal makes sense, you'll get the money.
Yeah. Yep. I love that piece. And people always say, well, how do I raise private money? Well, start with a deal, right? You got to bring a deal to the table. Like, going around and saying, do you have money available to fund is completely meaningless if you don't have anything to offer. So bringing that deal to the table, I think, is important. So Marco, maybe you could walk us through a couple of examples of some deals you've done recently and maybe where you found them and how you put them together.
I'll give you I guess the brush stroke of how we create deals, because I don't really find them. I don't think you can. There are some deals to be found for sure, but we're mostly off market. We don't buy on market deals. We don't go on the MLS. That's retail. The processes we use are we pull a list of people that have a high likelihood of motivation. I call that the 5 Ds. Someone that's going through divorce, someone that is being displaced. There are 50,000 people that are moving that have assets that are cash flowing assets that they need to sell, about 50,000 per year, because anyway, that's about the number of in that list. People that are dying or retiring. That I call that the D is displacement. The death list or retiring list. And people that are affected by disease. Someone that has a disease that they have, that they're in the wrong HMO and they need this cure, and it's not the right doctor because they're in this program, but they want that, so they need to raise cash quickly and they need to sell quickly. And those lists are all available for free if you know where to find them. Freedom of Information Act allows you to pull that very easily, actually get their emails very easily, and then just send a whole bunch of email sequences to compress the price. Because we can buy anything full price. It's buying it right that counts. So so we're just emailing. That's what we do. I don't do a lot of direct mail. I do a lot of emails because it's faster, it's cheaper, and you can do a lot of volume that way.
I love it. So what's next? Where are you heading? I mean, what's the goal? What's the end game for you?
I really don't have one. I'm doing, fairly well. Thank you very much. I tried retiring, which is terrible because if I'm not if I'm not doing something, my personality is, if I'm not moving forward, then I start, self-destructing, which I don't want to do. So from a goal perspective, I just want to help as many people as possible with very specific skills to achieve a level of financial freedom where they don't have to work. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. There are tons of asset-based lenders. If you're not familiar with asset-based lending, it's if the deal makes sense, the money's available regardless of what your credit is. And they can finance these without any skin in the game at all, and if you don't pay, they take it back and they double their returns. and they don't care about your credit. It's just like, a title loan. If you go bring your car to a title loan place, and they're going to lend you money based on the value of the car. And if you don't pay them back, they repo the car. Well, in this case, if you don't pay them back, they repo the property, and they don't have to find the car because property's there. It's not going anywhere.
It's right there. Yeah, it hasn't moved. Moved.
Super easy.
So what's your favorite part about the business today? I mean, what gets you excited? What gets you out of bed?
The people and learning new things. It's a really interesting business. I used to be in the real estate business, and then I got into the cash flow business. And now it's just interesting to take someone that's the negotiation of it in those nuances I really enjoy, where someone says, no, we absolutely have to have this number. Well, why do you have to have that number? Well, because we owe this and we need this amount of cash. Well, do you need all of this cash? Do you need it all now? No, I can take this now and this later. So you can do some really creative deals. Bought a couple properties, actually 600 units out of Chicago that way, where they had, I think it was like $5 million in debt. They needed $1 million to walk. And we did some creative financing on the balance. And, that $1 million represented like a 32% cash on cash return. So literally you give them $1 million and you make, $320,000 a year. So then I go to someone that has $1 million and says, hey, would you like to make a 15% return on your money? They put in the money and I make the difference. So they made a 15% return and I make the spread. So it's fun to put deals together, never using any of your own money. It's fairly creative, but it's a lot of fun. So
I find that the creative piece of it is the most fun. It's actually it's like doing a puzzle, trying to solve a puzzle and figure out what's the best scenario for you, for the seller, for the lender, for the team, right?
Everybody.
Creating win-wins. Yeah, love it. So let me ask you this. If you had a billboard up on a major highway and you can get 2 million eyeballs a day, what would you put on that billboard? What would you tell 2 million people if you could?
That's a really great question. What would I tell 2 million people? That's not about you. But I don't know if it depends on what my goal would be. Would it be if I really want to impact someone, it's very hard to do it on a billboard, but I could definitely, if you have a Reg D compliance, you could actually offer people a high rate of return and take all their money. Well, not take it, but place it properly. Piss off the banks, but you could do it if you have the right regulation. But I really don't know how to answer that wisely on the spot like that, but depends on what my motivation was at that time. But if I really wanted to have 2 million people look at something, man, that is a really good question. Could be Facebook, could be a newspaper. No, I hear you. I hear you. It's a really great question, and I wish I had really. I'm not at a loss for words a lot. And what would I really want to impact people with? Probably that anything is possible. Anything is really possible. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money you have or don't have. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter where you've been. What your bank balance is like. If you have a real passion to do something, there is a way to get it done. You just need to remove your ego out of it. Ego is a big factor. Remove the ego. Make it as long as it can impact and serve a lot of people, you can make a tremendous amount of money at it and do whatever you want. I'm not in real estate actually to do real estate. I do it because my passion is actually alternative health. I have quite a few alternative health clinics across Canada, and I use the money that I make in real estate to put into more clinics in Canada because I can't do the stuff in the US that FDA would shut us down. Awesome. So yeah. There you go. How's that? Love it, man. Love it. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you, Marco? Well, if you want to know more about me, marcokozlowski.com, which most people can't spell. But if you can go to bigfatchecks.com, myself and my team can actually walk you through buying small multifamily using none of your own money, using asset-based lenders. We actually help you do that. We walk you through it on your first one, so you never have to use your own money again. I love that. I love that URL. What is it? Bigfatchecks.com? Yeah, not chicks.com. That's a different website. Yeah, so bigfatchecks.com. Yeah, CHECK. We'll make sure we put that in the show notes. Marco, what did I forget to ask you today? What else did we not cover? What else do you want to cover? Whatever. I don't know. I'm an open book. This is your show. Whatever your listeners want to hear, whatever value I can give, you tell me, and I'll add to it.
Now, listen, I think there were some awesome takeaways. I mean, I love a success story. I love a success story that involves struggle. You know, you've been through a lot. You're obviously have, you know, a tremendous future ahead of you. I'm excited that we got this chance to talk, but yeah, no, I think we covered a lot of things. And, you know, I always like to ask if there's anything I missed, because maybe we forgot something, but I think it was a great show. So I appreciate you being on.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you very much. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on.